Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Tuesday, March 17th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, and happy St. Patrick's Day. It is St. Patty's Day, so, we got our beer ready to go. It's become kind of a tradition where I drink on the job, if you will, on the Ice Guys show when it's St. Patrick's Day. So hope everyone's enjoying the day. Lord Lovadoc. Oh, Irish mashed potatoes. Oh, Lord Lovadoc. There we go. A little bit of my Irish accent there. Getting us ready for St. Patrick's Day, and hope you're all enjoying it and consuming a few beverages along the way, just like I'll be doing here throughout the course of this show. But we got a nice Tuesday slate. We've got 9 games on tap here tonight in the NHL. We'll obviously get to those in just a moment. But first, we'll look back on what we saw on Monday night. Obviously, the Kings and the Rangers was the return of Artemi Panarin to New York last night, and the LA Kings getting the job done last night against the New York Rangers with a 4-1 victory in that game. Surprising late scratch in that game was Adrian Kempe not in the lineup for the Los Angeles Kings, but no Kempe, no problem. Kings are still able to get the victory last night. Pretty quiet night from a point standpoint. Did have an assist on the Drew Doughty goal, Artemi Panarin, but just the 1 point for him. I don't think he minds. I think he's happy his team got the victory. A very important 2 points for the LA Kings as well, as they try to continue to hang in the wild card race. It was a pretty solid road performance last night. That being said, they did have kind of the run of play go against them in the third, kind of hanging on at the end, but Darcy Kemper had a really, really good third period to keep the Rangers at bay, and the Kings get a nice 4-1 victory there in that game. The only thing that would have been nicer is that game going over the total. Unfortunately, that fell short. We did have the Kings, though, and we did have the Kings team total, so we were able to cash a couple of those there as well. And right now with the best bet, it's just we're picking the wrong bet. It was a winning night for me. It was a profitable night, but the best bets have just been making the wrong selection. So, again, we'll try to correct that today and moving forward. But nice win there for the Kings, 4-1 over the New York Rangers. Detroit with a 5-2 win against Calgary. This was a very important game to win for the Red Wings. They couldn't have afforded to drop 2 points to the likes of the Calgary Flames, and they got finally some offense going in the second period. I mean, the sequence of defending from the Calgary Flames in the second period was atrocious. It was awful. And the Calgary and the Detroit Red Wings really made them pay for it. But there was turnovers, there was odd man rushes, there was breakdowns in coverage. Somehow, the likes of Emmett Finney and Patrick Kane on some of these goals left completely alone. Just horrendous in the D zone was Calgary in that second period, and that's where the game got away from them. Detroit scored 4 times in the second period, and one of those goals was scored by a defenseman that Perlo mentioned liking as a bargain bin special, so we do cash a bargain bin last night thanks to Perlo, who gave Moritz Seider at plus 600 for the Detroit Red Wings to find the back of the net. Heck of a call with that. He ends up getting a power play goal in the second period, which at the time gave Detroit a 4-2 lead. They ended up winning 5-2. Dominic Shine into the empty net. It was a good night for Dominic Shine. He only missing a hat trick from a Gordie Howe hat trick because he got into a scrap as well earlier in that game. But very important game to stop the bleeding, end the losing streak, and at least keep themselves now in a position where they are in a wild card spot with that 5-2 win. Boston, meanwhile, another team that's right there with Detroit as one of the wild card teams and also trying to fend off Ottawa and Columbus right behind them. So I look at this and see that, Boston, again, the road issues. They've got off to a great start, up 2-0. But yet can't bring that game home, can't lock up the 2 points. That's got to be frustrating for the Bruins. But you give the Devils credit. Connor Brown, Jesper Bratt tied it. Paul Cotter gave them the lead. David Pasternak scoring a couple of goals last night. Pavel Zacha got the other Boston goal. And the overtime was really, really exciting. Both teams traded chances, but Paul Cotter ends up in on a clean-cut breakaway on Jonas Korpisalo, and a nice deep move, backhand, forehand, and makes the move around Korpisalo for the overtime winner. And New Jersey with 4-3 win over the Boston Bruins. We did have the over. We like them. These New Jersey games right now, they are playing a very much an over pace. I mean, they're scoring goals. They're generating some quality chances. They're giving up goals on the other end as well. And we saw that again last night. I think that's now 4 in a row for the Devils where their games have gone over the total. So this is definitely something we're going to look to continue to capitalize on moving forward. But a big 2 points there for Boston, or sorry, a big point, I should say, in the defeat for Boston, even though they lost. But they're going to be upset that they didn't get the 2 points. When you're up 2-0 against a team out of the playoffs, I don't care whether it's at home or on the road. You know, you got to try to be able to bring that game home. They were not able to do that. And the Dallas Stars, their regulation win, or their streak of not losing in regulation, or their consecutive game point streak, if you will, that comes to an end last night from the Utah Mammoths, 6-3 against Dallas last night. Nice win there for Utah. Sam Steele opened the scoring for Dallas, but Utah basically had the answer after that and basically ended up winning, going away with a 6-3 victory over the Dallas Stars last night. And Utah, much needed after a kind of a disappointing homestand. They get a big 2 points against Dallas, and a missed opportunity for the Dallas Stars, considering what happened in the late game with Pittsburgh and Colorado. What a bad time to finally see that consecutive game point streak end for the Dallas Stars. They could have been 1 point back of Colorado had they won last night, because Colorado, with a absolutely awful night, losing to the Pittsburgh Penguins last night, blown out at Ball Arena by a score of 7-2. The goaltending was hideous. It was not a good night for Wedgwood, who's had a great season, but at the same time, I thought it was a very quick hook, you know, at the same point in time to put Blackwood in, who's been struggling more than Wedgwood lately. But Jared Bednar goes to Blackwood, and Blackwood, some of those goals he gave up when he first came into the game were terrible, were worse than the goals that Wedgwood allowed. Plus, the goals that went in early on Wedgwood, the coverage defensively was awful. I don't know if I've seen Carr and Taves, that great pairing, have a worse night than they did last night. I mean, they were on the ice for multiple goals that Pittsburgh was able to score last night. So it was a rough night. Nathan MacKinnon with a pointed comment in the postgame too, saying, you know, I don't like our formation right now. I don't like the 7D setup, basically throwing his coach under the bus, saying, you know, wake up, man. We don't like having 7D. Should go back to the regular, 9-4, 12 forwards, 6D. None of this 11 and 7 crap. That's basically what he didn't say it in those terms, right. But it sure sounded like he said, we don't like this 7D. You know, you're getting people playing with different defense partners. It doesn't work. You get no chemistry. You lack synchronicity. That was basically Nathan MacKinnon saying, I don't agree with what the fuck my coach is doing right now. So that was and Nathan MacKinnon will do that sometimes. Like he's what arguably the best player on the team. He's the leader on the team. If he sees something that's not, you know, proper in his eyes, he's not scared to talk about it. You know, and that's actually refreshing with so much of these cookie cutter, boring, mundane, cliche, same old shit answers you get from players in post-game press conferences after games. To hear someone keep it honest, keep it transparent, keep it real, if you will, like Nathan MacKinnon did last night. Love it. You know, wish I heard more. I don't know if Jared Bednar is going to be crazy about hearing that, because it's basically pointing the finger at him and saying, what are you doing right now? But there's issues with Colorado. I've said this a couple times now. Colorado's not a team I'm in a rush to bet on the rest of the season. They're going to be overpriced. You know, they're probably still going to win the division, but at the same point in time, they're only 3 up on Dallas. There's still a lot of time left, and they do have a game in hand on Dallas, but a huge game coming up Wednesday night, head-to-head with the Avalanche and the Stars. And it is worth noting the Stars have had the Avalanche's number, you know, the playoff series wins this year in the regular season, what we saw, although Colorado, I think, did finally beat them in a shootout the last time they played. But still, I mean, Colorado has had their struggles with the Dallas Stars. So, like I said, Colorado is just, you know, they're not playing their best, and I still am concerned about Blackwood. Wedgwood's been good. I'm not going to give Wedgwood a bit of a pass. Blackwood's level of play lately has been concerning. This is several games he has not played great. Wedgwood last night, he didn't look good, but that's the first time in a while for Wedgwood that he's kind of struggled. So I'm going to give him a bit more of a pass. But still, that's going to be the big question come playoff time. The goaltending, and I also think their D. There's breakdowns, and there's gaffes, and there's defensive blunders, the likes of which Colorado, when they're right, they don't make them. And their best guys are making them. Makar, Taves. Taves looked awful on the one goal, beaten like a rented mule. as the great. It's fitting to bring that line out with Pittsburgh being the opponent last night. The great playing, rest in peace. But yeah, just not very good right now. Injuries, I get it, Jonathan, but I can't just. That's an excuse. I mean, the injuries. I mean, Landeskog and Colton and Lehkonen, yeah, important forwards, but that doesn't excuse Taves and Makar from looking awful last night in that game. And that's been an issue at times for this whole core defense. Josh Manson had a bad night. Nobody had a good night defensively last night for the Colorado Avalanche as Pittsburgh goes in there and dummies them. Now, there was a good deal of puck luck for Pittsburgh. Some of those goals were seeing eye shots, and they got the right bounce. And, there were some weird goals that Pittsburgh scored too, but Pittsburgh made their own luck too because Colorado just position-wise defensively, that's as bad as I've seen them look in a game. That's as bad as you will see Colorado look in a game. Alex, your thoughts on what we saw last night?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've now seen over the last week the top 4 teams in the Central kind of show their flaws and weaknesses heading into this postseason race. We talked about it with Minnesota over the weekend, the bad passing. We've seen Utah lose some important, points and drop games to a team like Chicago. And now to have both Dallas and Colorado have some bad games last night, and said Dallas missing out on a chance to get 2 very important points that would set them up to possibly leapfrog over Colorado tomorrow night. But when I look at the futures board, I'm seeing a plus 1,100 at FanDuel for Dallas to win that Central. Both teams have fairly easy schedules down the stretch. If you like Dallas to win that game tomorrow night against Colorado, I wouldn't mind grabbing a little piece of that plus 1,100 because it wouldn't shock me, like you said. We've seen Colorado play well all season long. And for them to have a slump right now wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. It would be expected. They haven't really had a slump yet. This has been kind of the low point of their season. They just want to get in and be ready for game 1, round 1. They don't necessarily care about winning the Central, winning the West. I'm sure they'd like to at least have home ice, which I feel like at this point we could say it's a matter of Colorado or Dallas being the top 2 teams in the Central Division. But Dallas, with the run that they've gone on, both teams coming off of bad losses, it would not shock me for Dallas to go on and win Wednesday night and maybe continue their run where Colorado could maybe a team where, against some of the other games, we see them kind of take some time off. Maybe they start giving Blackwood more starts, realizing, hey, we got to slow Wedgwood down the stretch so he can be fresh and ready for game 1, round 1, especially if the defense isn't playing well. So there may be some strategy to that, and that may have been the reason why we saw Colorado just except for lack of a better term, quit last night. And you have the early move to take Wedgwood out, put Blackwood in. That's more of maybe giving Wedgwood a rest necessarily than just trying to shake things up and trying to win that game. So I think Bednar may be playing the long game in that aspect. And even with the 11-7. Now, if your players are saying we don't like that, then obviously you guys need to have a conversation and make those changes. But I'm sure
I think there's going to be a talk happening today with Coach and Nathan McKinnon after what he said last night. No way Bednar's not going to hear that. Yeah.
Right. But I'm sure that was probably Bednar's initial thinking is just that, hey, let's utilize our depth a little bit here and give some guys a little bit of rest down the stretch. And that's something that we always talk about, the strategy of teams who are out of it. But for teams who are in it, they have to balance that stratosphere of, okay, yes, we still need to lock up our playoff spots, whether it be just getting in the playoffs, division, conference, what have you. But we also have to maintain and keep guys fresh because of this condensed schedule. We still have a bunch of back-to-backs. There's still, 15 to 17 games left over the next literal month of action, 30 days of action left. We have to balance that out. So you're going to have teams that are good teams, but, have these funky spots and maybe have some funky changes with their lineups moving forward.
Yeah, no question. So like I said, Colorado, and tomorrow night, that's a big one now. In this pursuit for first in the Central Division, Colorado and Dallas, massive game coming up on Wednesday night. Certainly one of the games to watch coming up tomorrow. Definitely looking forward to that. All right, let's get into the Tuesday card. We will have Matt Robinson joining us in a little bit. He's just doing a work thing right now, but he'll be with us in a little bit. But we'll get started with the Tuesday card. We'll begin with the New York Islanders taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. We've got the Islanders minus 140, road favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. You notice Toronto's played really well since the Matthews thing. I mean, that was a flip the switch, wake up call, a team that dead, emotionless, playing, emotionless, listless hockey. Because let's be honest, before that Anaheim game and that Radko Gudas knee-on-knee collision, look at Toronto's results before that. They had lost 8 in a row. They had looked terrible in doing so. They had been caved in the first period of all these games, getting badly outplayed. And then they're on their way to losing against Anaheim because they were down 3-1 at the time. Then the Gudas Matthews thing happens. It gets everyone fight. Well, they didn't respond right away, but in the third period, obviously, something was said in the second intermission, and it was a bad look. And from the third period of that Anaheim game onward, they obviously come back, beat Anaheim. They take the red-hot Buffalo Sabres to a shootout, and I thought they played pretty damn hard in that game and played them pretty well. Third period, Buffalo kind of took over a little bit, but they still got a point out of it. And then, of course, the game against Minnesota, where they beat, another good team, even though the Wild had a bad weekend, to go into Minnesota on a brutal spot, too. They got in, you said it, 2 a.m. local time. They got in to Minneapolis, St. Paul, Saturday night with the snowstorm bearing down there on the state. And they got in that late, and they still, the very next night, after playing in Buffalo, the previous night, they go into Minnesota, they win 4-2. I mean, you got to give the Leafs some credit. So there's a part of me that's seeing the way they're going right now and say, hey, do I want to lay minus 140 against them here? I mean, it's not just, the price has gone up. This was minus 125 or so when it opened. Now it's up to minus 140. Not sure it's that easy to do that. Because initially I'm leaning Islanders, and I still am, but this might be a game where I wait. I wait, see how. Remember, late in the season, waiting live is going to be a tact that I take more often with some of these games. I could see that. Yeah, Wool over saves is a good saves prop. I do agree with that. I definitely think you could see the Islanders certainly carry the play here tonight in this game. The Islanders, by the way, enter here 3 wins in their last 4 games. They won the last 2 of their road trip against San Jose and St. Louis. They came back home for that flat spot against L.A., where we thought the Kings could beat them, and they did. They did bounce back and beat Calgary, although it was not easy, but they did beat the Calgary Flames 3-2 in that game. So we'll see how this one plays out. Part of me thinks, the Leafs look like they're just playing for their manhood, playing for their, we're going to show everyone we've got team culture, despite what we did standing around looking like dopes when Austin Matthews was down on the ice there. And they have played hard since that moment happened. But part of me also thinks, they had a couple of big games over the weekend, battled Buffalo tough, beat Minnesota on a back-to-back. Now you're going back home. It'll be a very quiet, sterile environment, I'm sure. That home Toronto crowd early in the week, especially as, cheering for a team that's not making the playoffs now. So it does kind of scream to me that the Islanders get it done here, but I'm going to wait. And maybe the Leafs get up early, and then we'll get a better price on the Islanders live. What I will take pregame here is a little bit on over 5.5 and a little bit on the draw here in this game, because it is the Islanders, and it's an Islanders team that has played 4 straight 1-goal games. Only 2 of them went past regulation, but the Kings and the Flames games, the last 2 for the Islanders, they were both flirting with going to overtime. So I think we've got a chance to see maybe beyond 60 minutes here in this one tonight. Not to mention, when you look at the Islanders and Leafs, the last time they met this season, the only other time they've met this season, January 3rd in Belmont, New York, and it was a 4-3 overtime win for the New York Islanders. So that game cashed the draw. So a little over 5.5, draw, lean Islanders. I'm going to see if maybe we get plus money in game. Alex, what do you think here with Islanders Leafs?
Yeah, I went pregame with the draw. I grabbed plus 316, which is available at Bet Online. And like you mentioned, Isles have been playing close hockey, 4 games straight where we decided by 1 goal. Last 2 road games also going past regulation. So I like that kind of balance and trend. Like you said, the Leafs are playing for pride. And that's something that we were kind of wondering with this team. Maybe we could see them just completely fizzle and flame out. But like you said, since the Matthews injury, this team has really kind of ramped it up. And like I said, it's the Islanders team where, there's this history here. You've got obviously the whole Tavares thing. It's not as pertinent as it was years ago, but it's still a thing. Matthew Schaefer, his homecoming to Toronto as well. They say he's got about 1,000 people that's going to be there in attendance.
I was going to get to that in a minute. 1,000 people. I think maybe over-exaggerating a little bit, but I think it might be close. because he's a
I hope
Stony
he ain't
Creek,
paying for all those
Ontario
tickets.
guy. Yeah.
Hopefully, some of those people bought their own damn tickets because that's a lot. That's probably the most I've heard of in quite some time. But that's going to have some energy, certainly for him. And I think this could be an exciting game, for a game where, like I said, one team who's fighting for their lives and another team's completely out of it. Usually would be kind of a dud. I do like over 5.5, but I want to wait for that in game.
Yeah.
Personally, pregame, I just like to draw.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, it's minus 135 is the best you can get right now with over 5.5. So if you want a better price, it's not the bad idea to wait until in game for sure. As far as props, look, I'm just, I don't like giving away what my bargain bins are before we get to the segment, but Matthew Schaefer's bargain bin. It is. It is. It's the first of two. I'll save the other one for later in the show. But yeah, this has to be a bargain bin special. I mean, he's plus 400 at BetMGM to score.
Yeah.
He's got upwards of 1,000 family, friends, relatives, you name it, going to be in the building cheering him on at Scotiabank Arena tonight. Hometown guy. Like I said, plus 400 for Matthew Schaefer to score a goal tonight. He's going to want to put on a show. He's going to probably want to shoot the puck more. I know Perlo's into the shots on goal props more than I am, but just conceptually, Matthew Schaefer over shots makes some sense tonight. He's probably going to be ripping puck a little bit more than maybe he normally would. So that makes some sense too.
You know what I would sprinkle too? Maybe a little bit of Matthew Schaefer last goal.
Yeah.
Let's just say he's not necessarily in the fold and it's a 3-2, 4-2 Owls lead. They pull the goalie. They're probably going to want to feed him the puck.
Yeah.
So that may be something that I'd take a little small sprinkle on as well.
A good game for prop. I think there should be a few goals. We'll see. But I'm also going to look toward Emil Heineman for the Islanders. He's on the top line, starting to heat up a bit for them right now. Holmstrom on the second line. For Toronto, I think Michelli, yes. Cowan, yes. But I'm going to ride the wave that is Benoit Olivier Groulx. I think we got to start taking this guy. He's getting chances. He's scored. He's had the 2-goal game against Minnesota on Sunday in the victory. He's getting chances. He's plus 725. It's a great story. This is a guy that's toiled away in the minors for years. He hadn't played in the NHL for a few years and hadn't scored in the NHL for a few years. And you see him making an impact every night. He's noticeable. That would be, of course, Benoit Olivier Groulx. Bo Groulx, they're calling him now. Bo Groulx, plus 725 at BetMGM for him to find the back of the net. So I think that's worth a shot as well with what we've seen from him for Toronto since he's been called up from the Marlies. All right, Carolina, Columbus. We've got Carolina minus 130. Sorokin and Wool, by the way, are starting in that game. Hurricanes minus 130. Road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Jack Greaves has been confirmed for the Blue Jackets. Looks like Eric Goodbranson, game time decision for Carolina. They thought he was going to be back last game. They kept it, decided to wait another game. There's a chance he returns tonight from injury for Columbus. Meanwhile, it looks like for Carolina, Gostisbehere currently out. Svechnikov didn't practice yesterday and is apparently day-to-day. Rod Brindamore seemed to think yesterday there's a good chance he plays, but it's not quite a sure thing yet. So we'll see about Andrei Svechnikov's status for Carolina here tonight in this game. Carolina beat Tampa Bay 4-2 on Saturday. And, of course, the thing is with Carolina, Colorado still has work to do to win their division, right? It certainly still has plenty of work to do. When you look at Carolina and where their positioning is right now, they're 7 clear of Pittsburgh with a game in hand. So there's not a lot of pressure on this Carolina Hurricanes team right now. I don't want to say go through the motions, but they are still battling Buffalo for number 1 seed overall in the Eastern Conference. But still, they're going to win their division. They're up 7 with a game in hand on Pittsburgh. It's not going to be a be-all, end-all, balls-to-the-wall effort every night for Carolina. You're going to see nights where they kind of look dopey, like a Colorado did last night. I'm not saying tonight's the night, but I think there's possibility this could be one of those nights. Not to mention they have struggled at Nationwide Arena. Columbus has beaten them in this building 3 straight times. Columbus 3-0 the last 3 times they've hosted Carolina. They had a 4-3 shootout win last year against Carolina at home. They had a 5-4 shootout win last November, also the same season against Carolina. And then the year before in Columbus, it was 6-3 Jackets. The Jackets have played well in this building. There's a huge 2 points for them, obviously, like it is in every game moving forward. I think it'll be Brandon Bussey for Carolina, but it's not confirmed as of yet. But I would expect him to be the goalie. But I'll take the Jackets at this price with the effort they're providing right now, plus 110. I'll do that, and I'll take the draw too because we've seen some draw history in the past between these two teams, particularly at Nationwide Arena. Like I said, the last two games here with the Canes and the Blue Jackets, both of them went past regulation. Don't like seeing that 1-8 as a home dog stat there, Jonathan, but I'm going against that tonight. I think it's a much more meaningful 2 points on the table here for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And let's be honest with Carolina lately. If you look at their form, they beat Tampa, they beat Pittsburgh in a shootout, but they blew a 4-2 lead, had to rescue it. They lose to Calgary on the road. They barely beat Vancouver. That was an ugly win when they beat the Canucks on that road trip. They lost at home to St. Louis 3-1. They haven't played sparkling hockey, Carolina, the last little bit, but I think Columbus has a shot tonight, and I like the price. Alex, what do you think here, Carolina-Columbus?
Double, not so fast, my friend. Not only do I like Carolina here, I like Carolina in regulation. Grab them plus 135. I think this is a spot where they get right. I think this is, like you said, they realize where they are in the standings. If you take care of business now, you can wrap up things early, and then you can pace yourselves down the stretch of those last few games where they won't matter so much. And this is a team that you can beat in Columbus, a team, like you said, that's playing for their lives every night. And we've been seeing a lot of overtime, a lot of games going past regulation with Columbus. And we've seen this pattern again. 2 games going to overtime, 1 game ending in regulation. 2 games have gone to overtime with Columbus. I think tonight ends in regulation. And I think it's a loss for Columbus here. I think we see Carolina with a strong effort, like I said, Bussey start. I think Bussey gets back on track as well. So plus 134, Carolina went within 60.
Yeah, that, by the way, this is the first time we're going into a Brandon Bussey start where he's off back-to-back losses. He has not lost consecutive starts until these last two, St. Louis and then the Calgary game at the end of that road trip. So, and like I said, we've seen a little bit of a step back in his form after the Olympic break. Can he get it back? We'll see. He was certainly spectacular before the Olympic break, but there we go. A little head-to-head. I like that. It's nice for a change. Carolina for Alex, Columbus for me. As far as props for this, and the draw, by the way, for me. So it's really direct competition because it's Carolina in regulation and it's Columbus in the draw for me. So Carolina in regulation for Alex. As far as props here in this game, what do we got here? A couple that stand out here for Columbus. Let me just take a look here. There we go. Get my. Coming back to Garland. I'm going to Kent Johnson too. Kent Johnson has had some good chances of late. So Garland, Johnson, Marchment too on the top line. I think might be worth a look. On the Carolina side of the equation, when you look at their lineup, it'll be interesting if Svechnikov doesn't play. What changes are made for the Carolina Hurricanes? But certainly when you look at, so that's going to factor into some of the decisions I make as far as their goal props. But Jordan Martinook, has scored in 2 of the last 5 games and scored the last game. Jankowski had started to score in a couple of games. So those are a couple of props I might be interested in for the Canes. Jonathan alluding to Marchenko, 9 goals in 10 games versus Carolina for Marchenko. So he certainly had a lot of success against this team in the past. We'll see if that continues tonight. All right, Boston, Montreal, original 6 rivalry. Montreal minus 150 to minus 160, home favorite, 6.5 the total. Shaded to the under here in this game. Is a massive game, obviously. It goes without saying. Bruins, the second wild card team right now in the East, 81 points, only 2 ahead of Columbus, 4 ahead of Ottawa. So still there's work to be done for Boston. And Boston, though, is only 1 back of Montreal. And if Boston beats Montreal in regulation tonight, Montreal becomes the team with the target on their back and would fall to the second wild card spot, the team that Ottawa, Columbus, and others would be chasing. So this is a massive, massive 2 points on the board tonight for the Bruins and the Canadiens here in this one. Boston on a back-to-back, Boston on the road. Both of those factors make me very reluctant to back the Bruins, and we know the road woes have been evident. What are they now? I've got them now 1-8. 1-8 in their last 9 road games. And on a back-to-back on the road for the Bruins after that 4-3 loss to the New Jersey Devils last night. We'll see what happens here in this one. That being said, while I'm not really all that excited about taking Boston Back-to-back on the road for a team that's been bad on the road. Montreal just dropped 2 straight home games over the weekend to the California duo. Anaheim and San Jose losing 4-2 and 4-3 in those games. And their defensive coverage has just not been great during this stretch. It really hasn't. So we'll have to see what happens here. They're trying to say we've got to play better defense, better and more responsible in our own end. That's basically the rhetoric and the mantra, if you will, the mission statement following that game against Anaheim on Sunday. So we'll see about that. I think it could be low. I don't know why. I just feel like this could be a tighter, lower scoring game. I know that these teams are capable of scoring, but I think New Jersey kind of dragged Boston into more of a back and forth affair last night. I could see Montreal trying to tighten things up a little bit tonight. And we do have the better goalie for Boston. Jeremy Swayman's been very good lately. They saved him for this game. They started, obviously, Korpisalo last night so that they could have Swayman ready to go here for this game. It feels like a Montreal spot. I expect a hell of an effort from Montreal. There's no chance I'm taking Boston on the road right now, especially on a back-to-back. But I don't like the price enough. So this is going to be an in-game for me here. I will sprinkle on the draw pregame, though. Have to, because Boston, 4 of the last 5 games have gone past regulation. They've been massive to the draw here the last few games. So draw for me. Pregame is the only thing in pocket. Alex, Bruins, Canadiens.
Yeah, I mean, this is a classic draw season spot. These two fighting with one another, needing the points. Certainly you're not going to see either team surrender a chance to possibly come away with 0 points if this is tied late. And I believe we see goals early in this one, and then it tapers off. So I like first period over. And I'm not going to wait for that. I'll grab minus 128. I find that at FanDuel. I like both teams to score as well, plus 172. So I'm looking for that kind of maybe even a 1-1 correct score sprinkle on this one. And then we see things kind of taper down and slow off. So that's why I don't like that over 6.5 necessarily. This could be one where we see a little bit more stronger defensive play, like you're saying, later in the game than we see earlier.
By the way, I'm looking at it. You know what? I think that first period, both teams to score, I might dabble on that because I'm looking at Montreal right now. 3 straight games for them have had first period, both teams to score. 3 straight Abs games. So there you go. Both teams have scored in the first period. So I think I will. I'm not even going to go over 1.5 because I hate the price on it. I'm just going straight to the both teams to score first period at plus money. Bypass the over 1.5. So I actually think it's more likely it's a 1-1 period. If there's 2 goals in the first, I think it's more likely it's 1-1 than a 2-0 for somebody.
I agree.
Yeah. So that's worth a shot to me. Both teams to score first period with Boston and Montreal and the draw. And then as far as props go for this game, we do want to mention Caulfield and Suzuki, back-to-back games with a goal. I'm going to reiterate a lot of the players I mentioned in that Boston-New Jersey game last night for the Bruins that I'd be looking at for props. Usnadinov. I'd come back to Fraser Minton again, still centering the top line for Boston tonight. Zaka's red hot. Hard not to take him as at the moment. Scored against his old team last night. Kapanen too, I think, for Montreal. Oliver Kapanen on the second line for the Habs. If I'm not mistaken, too, I've seen Kapanen find pay dirt in the past. No, he hasn't against Boston, but still, he's had some success. Arvidsson, by the way, has had a lot of success against the Canadiens in the past. So we'll see if he continues. Who's Nadinov? Yes, that's why I'm not abandoning ship on him, Aaron. He's on the top line, and there you see it. He's had success against the Montreal Canadiens. So who's Nadinov and Minton are still my favorite props here in this game tonight for the Boston Bruins. All right, I believe, wow, we have ourselves some breaking news that we need to alert people of, and this is significant.
This is breaking news from the Ice Guys.
So Leon Draisaitl for the Edmonton Oilers, he got injured last game, and we knew at the time he wasn't going to return in that game, and the question was going to be how severe was this, and we knew he wasn't going to play for them tonight. He'd been ruled out of this game tonight against the San Jose Sharks, a game that we were going to get to in a moment, but he got injured after taking a hard hit in the first period against Nashville. Ozzy Wiesblatt is the guy that ended up hitting him. He wasn't on the bench to start the second period, didn't play the rest of the game. He had been ruled out of this game tonight against San Jose, but we just thought day-to-day at some point. but it is not day-to-day anymore. The Oilers just made it official and announced that Leon Draisaitl is going to miss the rest of the regular season with a lower body injury. Now, they didn't say playoffs. They just said regular season. So that's, I guess, the glimmer of hope that you have if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, that he can be back in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But that's certainly not the news anybody would want to hear if they're associated with the Oilers, players, coaches, management, fans. Very, very disheartening news. Leon Draisaitl out for the rest of the regular season, Alex, lower body injury.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a good thing if they're saying, okay, he's going to be out for the rest of the regular season, meaning he could be ready for round one, game one of the playoffs. But his absence could mean that they aren't even in the playoffs at all. I mean, nothing is solidified in the specific. We keep talking about this.
Yep.
And this doesn't bode well for me as someone who bet Vegas to miss the playoffs. I'm seeing the price on Edmonton to miss the playoffs crater now. It's plus 290. That price was like 6-1, 7-1 a couple of days ago. So, people are kind of reacting and responding and thinking that this may be a huge blow to a team that we've seen struggle. And, he's the consistent piece, right? As great as McDavid is, but Draisaitl's really been that clutch guy the last couple of years. You have McDavid either go off for 4 points and 10 shots and have a crazy night, or all of a sudden you can't find him with a telescope, where Draisaitl's been the more consistent, give you a goal, give you an assist, give you a point per night at times. I think losing him, we've seen this before in the past, where if one of those two are out, the bigger blow is losing 29 as opposed to losing 97. And I think in this spot now, like I said, just chemistry-wise, it just throws things off with how tight that race is in the division. This gives LA a ton of life. This gives San Jose a ton of life. This gives Seattle some life to possibly catch up with this team and Edmonton team that's already kind of been pressing on their heels with defense and goaltending issues. Now to lose an offensive player, that could really rock the apple cart potentially.
Yeah, that's 97 points in 65 games out for the Edmonton Oilers for the rest of the regular season. So that is definitely not what you want to see at this point in time. And I like what you said. I mean, I said they hope he's back. The glimmer of hope is you hope he's back for the Stanley Cup playoffs. You do still have to get into them first. Yeah. And the Edmonton Oilers right now, they are at 75 points. They're only 4 ahead of LA, which is the last team outside looking in the playoff race right now. So they're only 4 points clear of a team that could knock them out. So there's still work to be done for the Edmonton Oilers. And now they're going to have to get that work done without Leon Draisaitl and without 97 points in 65 games in your lineup this season. And what obviously the gaping hole that will leave with the power play for the Edmonton Oilers moving forward. But like I said, big news there. Leon Draisaitl out for the remainder of the regular season. All right, let's move along. Minnesota, Chicago. We've got Minnesota minus 170, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. This is one where, look, Minnesota, I can't lay it with them at the moment. That was a very, very tough weekend for them against the Leafs and the Rangers, 2 teams outside the playoffs. Now, there is some element and some truth to the fact that they did kind of get goalied in both games. I mean, Shesterkin was out of his mind good against the Wild on Saturday. And Stolarz had one of the better starts I've seen from him in a long time for the Leafs against the Minnesota Wild on Sunday. But at the same point in time, passes weren't clicking, shots were missing the net. Just the offensive crispness, fluidity, and execution just has not been there for the Minnesota Wild these last couple games. Now they're going on the road against another team outside not making the playoffs, another team they should beat. They should have beat the Rangers and the Leafs at home over the weekend, and they didn't. So I have a hard time getting there with Minnesota minus 170. That said, I could only consider Chicago if we got the knight in shining armor, Spencer Knight, in net. We're just waiting on that confirmation here going into this game. Eric Sinek, by the way, out for the Minnesota Wild. That is worth mentioning. A lower body injury day-to-day. And he did play the 2 games this weekend, but looks like they're going to be cautious, keep him out at least for tonight due to a lower body injury. Bobby Brink, too. He's missed the last 3 games. Upper body injury. We'll see if he's able to return. Looking like a game-time decision for him here tonight in this game. This is just one where I'm going to be waiting to see the confirmation for Chicago. It's Blackhawks or pass, but I'm waiting on that confirmation as far as if it's Spencer Knight in between the pipes. I mean, Minnesota needs a response here. Will they get one? We'll see. But this is definitely a check the Patreon page game for me. I haven't moved on anything yet. Alex, what do you think? Minnesota, Chicago.
Yes, this is a home-at-home series, so just keep that in mind as far as with goaltending, waiting to see. I would believe that this would be Knight at home and Soderblom up here tomorrow night, and like I said, Gustafsson on the road tonight. Wallstead getting the home start tomorrow with obviously check goalie post, check things for that. But what I like, regardless of who's starting for the Hawks, is Hawks to score first goal in the first period. Taking a shot with that is +1. I did I say 36? No, I'm sorry. That's that first period money line +136, +165 first goal first period. So those are two things that I will be looking at, whether it's Soderblom or Knight starting in that. If it is Knight confirmed, I probably will end up having Hawks team total. If it's Soderblom, I will be leaning toward grabbing the over 5.5, which I could do in game. Early start, 6:30 start because of the TNT start. Not much going on, even though it is St. Patrick's Day, all the festivities that happened over the weekend in Chicago. So it won't be any kind of crowd, interjection or anything. Usually it's a little bit livelier, but nothing to that extent. It should be a lively crowd just because it's a rival coming into town. But like I said, with that being said, the Wild are in poor form. Lean with the Hawks, but just first period looks. First period money line, first period, first goal. And like I said, we'll be looking at the over 5.5 if it's Soderblom.
All right, there we go. Good stuff. As far as props, not too many on this game because you obviously saw a Minnesota team not really. Ryan Hartman, we're off the train. I'm actually going to try Yurov tonight because Yurov is now with Kaprizov and Boldy. Yeah. This is the right move. You got to get Hartman the hell off that top line. The guy's cold, ice cold right now for the Wild. So finally, John Hines doing something constructive there with his line.
I'll say it now. Ryan Hartman will be a problem for the Wild once they get into the playoffs. He's going to be a negative.
Yeah, he's had a rough go of it. He almost looks like he can't keep up with this increased pace, too, that we've seen from the Wild with Quinn Hughes now on the team. He looks a little step behind everybody sometimes when I see him out there for a shift, and that's a problem. That's a concern. By the way, this will be for Nick Foligno, a chance to face the team that he captained, of course, the Chicago Blackhawks. So if you want to buy into the former player angle, you could do that. Maybe and look toward him as far as a goal prop in this game. On the Chicago side of the equation, just looking at some of their head-to-head numbers here against the Wild. And when I look at it, it's funny. Levshinov, the defenseman, has actually scored multiple times against Minnesota. Not think that necessarily. And Spurgeon, for some reason, has scored a lot against Chicago in the past. So a couple of defensemen that have been able to make some hay as far as finding the back of the net. I'd probably look in that direction with maybe Nazar, too. He's had some success, and he's also scored in 3 of the last 5 games for Chicago. So it could be a Frank Nazar kind of night on their side as far as a goal prop is concerned. I'll be on Brink, too, if he's in, but that's a big if. We thought he might be in last game. We thought he might be in the game before that, and he wasn't. But if he is, we may look to Bobby Brink. All right, Nashville and Winnipeg. We've got Winnipeg -130, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Winnipeg Jets, suddenly a team that's popped their head back into the race, 5 points behind the Seattle Kraken and the LA Kings, who are tied for that second and final wild card spot in the Western Conference. Winnipeg with 66 points. I mean, it's still going to be a very tough task for Winnipeg to get into the playoffs, but they still have a shot. And that was a big 2 points for them against St. Louis on Sunday. We'll see how this one plays out in this one. I like Winnipeg. I'm going to take Winnipeg here. Small bet. The price isn't great here, -130, but I do like what I've seen from them, especially on this homestand. You look at the Nashville side of the equation. Their recent play has been really nothing to be all that excited about. They're just 3-7 in their last 10 games. Back-to-back losses against the Canuck loss was a really bad loss. And then, of course, the 3-1 loss against the Edmonton Oilers on Sunday night. Winnipeg beating Colorado and Seattle back-to-back games. Nashville is just 12-21 on the road this season. Winnipeg's won 4 of the last 5 meetings against Nashville. They've also beaten Nashville and Winnipeg 3 straight times here at Canada Life Center. So Like I said, the price is cheap enough. And actually, there's still a couple minus 125s out there. I see it at BetMGM has Jets minus 125. So that's what I'll do. I'll take the Jets here, minus 125. Alex, what do you think here? Predators, Jets.
This is one where I really like the draw. He said these are both, teams that are still have some life, still kind of clinging on to hope and playing one another. I could see this one being a close battle, kind of a playoff kind of battle. So plus 318, I did grab a piece of the draw. I was just trying to check and see if I could find. Winnipeg to win in overtime, plus 500 at FanDuel. That market's up for certain games, not all games. So you have to check around, but it's available here. So Winnipeg to win in overtime or shootout, plus 500 to go along with the draw, plus 318.
All right, good stuff. Kyle Connor with goals in 3 straight games for the Winnipeg Jets. Matthew Wood has scored in 3 of the last 5 games for Nashville, so he's probably got a little bit of value right now as far as goal props are concerned for them. Velarde's been stepping things up a little bit lately as well. So those are some props there for goals in that one with the Predators and the Jets. By the way, it's already been confirmed. Saros for Nashville, Hellebuck for Winnipeg. No real surprise. All right, we mentioned the big Leon Draisaitl news, out for the rest of the regular season. His Edmonton Oilers will look to pick up the slack without him starting tonight as they host the San Jose Sharks. Edmonton minus 170, home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this one. I'm not laying minus 170 with Edmonton. That much I know. And you look at this now. Here's the thing now. I've not bet this game yet, but I was certainly interested in San Jose. I actually might be less interested in San Jose now after the the Leon Draisaitl news. How many times do we see it? First game after you lose, one of your best players, everyone steps up, pulls up the bootstraps, and you win that first game. It happens a lot, especially in the NHL and especially in the NBA. I have seen it quite a bit. So I don't know if I like San Jose as much, believe it or not. I probably would have preferred it if we didn't hear this Leon Draisaitl news and he was playing tonight, as opposed to him not playing and now being ruled out for the rest of the regular season. But still, it's still San Jose or pass. I can't take Edmonton, can't touch Edmonton at minus 170 at a price like this. There are some injuries, though, for San Jose. Ask About Me is still day-to-day. Yaroslav Askarov, so Alex Nedeljkovic will get the start here tonight. Chernyshov, too. A very scary incident the other night against Ottawa. Against Montreal, rather. Took a big hit there, didn't play against Ottawa. Looks like he might be out again. Same with Wenberg. He may not go for the Sharks here tonight either. It's just one of these deals where I've just seen this kind of a situation transpire more than enough times to know that, everyone's, the common person might think, no Draisaitl, Edmonton's going to get buried tonight. And often it's the reverse. You lose one of your best players, you get terrible news like this. And in that first game, you overcome it. You exceed expectations and everyone does a little bit more and you find a way to win. Then after the first game without that player, then you level off and you maybe you lose after that. But that first game, sometimes teams are able to overcome it. Not to mention, I expect Connor Ingram in net, and it is confirmed. There's now a growing separate. Now, I'm not saying Ingram's great yet. I'm not there yet, obviously. But he was steady. He was sound. He made 26 saves on 27 shots against Nashville in that 3-1 win. Edmonton's trying to play better defensive hockey. They brought back Paul Coffey on the assistant coaching staff for that very reason, to work on this team's game in their own zone and try to fix it, try to make it better. For that reason, too, I'm not on over. And there's no way I would touch over now at minus 150 on the 6.5. And I'm even seeing it at 7, at some books. No way. And I actually think this could be a bit of an under. Because I think San Jose is going to be pissed that they gave up 7 goals against the Ottawa Senators. And look, a lot of that was Brossoit was rusty as hell against the Sens in his first NHL start in a very long time. But I know they're not going to be thrilled with the defensive coverage in that game. So I just got a sneaking suspicion. And these 2 Ingram starts in a row have gone under the total. Edmonton-St. Louis was an under with Ingram in net, and Edmonton-Nashville was an under with Ingram in net. The overs have been with Jari, and we're not going to see Jari anytime soon if they keep winning and playing better defensive hockey and they do a better job keeping the puck out of the net with Ingram in net, which they've done the last couple games. So This is a pass for me. We'll play in game, if anything. Alex, what do you think? Sharks, Oilers.
I have a bargain bin from this game and nothing else.
All right, there you go. Nice and short and sweet for Sharks and Oilers. I'm not on anything major with sides or totals pregame, but we got to bet it. Colin Graff, San Jose. That's a no-brainer. He's been absolutely spectacular. We both had him for bargain bin against Ottawa on Sunday, and again, he's north of plus 400 to find the back of the net tonight. I'd even go one step further with Mario Ferraro for the San Jose Sharks. Not someone you think of offensively for this team, but he scored in back-to-back games for this San Jose team, and you're getting like 13-1, for him to score. So I think it's worth a shot there as well. I like Misa, good price. He scored against Edmonton, I believe, the last time they played the Oilers. Michael Misa, $4.75. Matt Savoy, he's been pretty solid lately, scored against Nashville the other night. This is a good prop game. Forget sides and totals. The props are where it's at for me. I think there's a lot of good goal props tonight in this game.
I'm laughing about Michael Misa because in the San Jose Ottawa game, we had Graff, I had Gaudette, and I accidentally somehow put in a bet on Michael Misa. And then when I realized it was at the point when the Sharks were down 4-3. So I bet Sharks next goal in that spot plus 110, and Michael Misa ends up tying the game. So I end up hitting from one accidental bet, cashing that, and then making a second bet on Sunday. So I might have to run back to the well with Michael Misa, this time intentionally betting on him.
Yeah, so, well, he scored. Remember that 5-4 Sharks win against the Oilers? He scored in that game. He also scored in the 4-3 loss to the Oilers in Edmonton, Michael Misa. Okay. So he scored in both games.
Yeah. Right, I'll be in on him. I'll add him.
Yeah, no doubt. That's worth a look. Yeah, Misa scored in both of the earlier Sharks-Oilers games this season between the two teams. Misa did. There we go. Misa did in both. Not Graff. Graff only scored in the first game between these two teams. But you still have to take Graff, too. I mean, he scored in 3 straight games. No-brainer, especially at north of plus 400. All right, next time. By the way, like I said, Ingram and Nedeljkovic in net. All right, Buffalo, Vegas. We've got Vegas. By the way, Matt Robinson looks like this damn meeting of his has taken too long. He's frustrated, but I told him, no, don't worry about it. It is what it is. No, all good. We'll see him on Thursday. We've got Vegas minus 130, home favorites. The total here sitting at 6.5, pretty much across the board here in this game. When you look at Vegas, the key handicap in this game is very simple to me. Are you buying into a Vegas resurgence? Are you buying into a Vegas resurgence? Are you buying into the fact that in the last 2 games, they've quote-unquote figured it out with beating Chicago and Pittsburgh? Because they beat Pittsburgh 6-2, and to be honest, Pittsburgh's playing good hockey. So that was a quality win, and that was the first win for the Vegas Golden Knights since, November? Against a team currently in a playoff spot? The first win since November for the Vegas Golden Knights against a team in a playoff spot since November. That 6-2 win against Pittsburgh on Thursday last week. They followed it up with a 4-0 shutout win against Chicago. I mean, unfortunately, Alex had to watch that, and I saw a good chunk of it too. Chicago was just dead as a doornail, So how much credit can we give Vegas for that? Maybe Vegas is turning a corner, and Vegas did get beaten by the Buffalo Sabres in the previous meeting earlier this year in Buffalo. It was just a couple weeks ago, 3-2. That's when Buffalo was in the throes of that red-hot run, and Vegas was scuffling and slumping big time at the moment. Maybe Vegas is turning it around. That could certainly be the case. But one thing I know about Buffalo, this is the start of a road trip. It's a bit of a statement road trip for Buffalo when you look at it. Like, you've been great. You're first in the division. You're up on Tampa Bay. You still have a chance to, believe it or not, be the number 1 team overall in the Eastern Conference. But your schedule and this road trip is going to be a challenge because you're facing all pretty good teams and all teams that are playing with some level of urgency, some level of desperation based on where they're at in the standings. Vegas is trying to get on a run and trying to solidify their playoff spot and maybe even still win the Pacific Division. You play them tonight. After that, you play the 3 California teams. You play Anaheim, also battling for a playoff spot and first place in the Pacific Division. You play LA, who are battling for their playoff lives and a wild card spot. You play San Jose, same thing, battling for their playoff lives. So this is definitely a very big road trip for Buffalo, if you look at it, because they're going to run into teams that need points desperately. All four teams that they're going to play on this road trip out west: Vegas, San Jose, LA, Anaheim. They're all going to, they should be all coming to play because they all need the points. So Vegas has won 2 in a row. They looked a little bit better. Yes. Has Mark Stone returning from injury helped? Absolutely he has. There's no doubt that part of the reason why they've played a little bit better is that now they have Mark Stone back for this team. But they are still without, Carlson and among others. But and Buffalo does have some injuries of their own, but it's basically the guys that have been out for a while. I mean, Samuelson's the newer injury that's been added to the injury list. Matthias Samuelsson on the blue line. He didn't play against Toronto. I don't think he's going to play here tonight either. But again, this Buffalo team and Yarmo went after tons of depth on the blue line, bringing in Logan Stanley, bringing in Luke Shen. Lindy Ruff is going to really get a chance, and that's the beauty of what Lindy Ruff's got to work with now. He's in a situation now where he can actually experiment with his defensive pairings, and figure out what's the best fit moving forward, because he's got Samuelsson, Dahlin, Byram, and Power. You can pencil all 4 of those guys in for sure to your playoff lineup. It's going to come down to, do we go with Kesselring, Zach Metsa, who a lot of Sabre fans and Sabre scribes say has played outstanding for them, Zach Metsa, and then, of course, the 2 new additions, Stanley and Shen from the Winnipeg Jets. So it's basically a battle to who's going to represent the third pair in the playoffs for the Buffalo Sabres. So it's competition. I think that's a good thing for a team. You got teams playing hard to win games, but individuals are playing hard to solidify a spot when the Stanley Cup playoffs arrive on that blue line. So maybe Vegas is turning it around. Maybe they win tonight. Not at this price. I'm on Buffalo here, plus 110. Alex, what do you think here? Sabres, Golden Knights.
I'm only going with Sabres to score first goal, first period here. I think, like I said, the business aspect of, getting on the road, getting to a good start early on this trip. I don't know if it's going to hold for the full game. And like I said, maybe Vegas has turned the corner. And this news with Edmonton should maybe put a little bit of a spark under Vegas's ass, right? Like I said, you got, like I said, this is now the time. If you have a chance to close in on this division, right? You got to take teams out behind you, and you got to get your ground in front of you. This is a big 2 points for Vegas here at home, and catching a Buffalo team as good as they are, but on the road. And like I said, having important games in hand. And, we talk about the rarefied air of Buffalo playing important hockey at the time. Now you're going through the gauntlet. 4 teams that are fighting for their playoff lives, and you're doing it all on the road. Can you stand that here? We've seen them play very well in this. Think about it. Even with that streak that really jump-started this run, most of those games were at home. So the home cooking's been great for Buffalo. But can you do it on the road? Can you do it out west? That's the test here now over the next 4 games. So I'm just going to play it safe. Maybe this is more of a live game for me. But pre-game, I will be on Buffalo first goal, first period.
Yeah, Alex Tuch is a game-time decision because of an illness. That is true. So, again, illness for Alex Tuch. Game-time decision. Yeah, Jonathan's got the same info I have. Yeah, basically, game-time decision is what we're looking at with Alex Tuch. So keep an eye on that. If he doesn't play, that's going to open up some value with somebody, because someone's got to take that spot on the right-wing side of that top line with Tage Thompson and Zach Benson. Speaking of Zach Benson, I like Zach Benson as far as a goal prop. He is on that top line for the Buffalo Sabres. I definitely think he's worth a look here in this game tonight. What else could be something to factor in here? I'm just trying to see. There we go. Obviously, Jack Eichel always going to get excited to play against Buffalo. No question about that. Dorofeyev has scored in back-to-back games for the Vegas Golden Knights. Jack Quinn might be worth a look. Zucker has had some success against Vegas in the past. So those are a couple of the props there that I'd be targeting here. Let me see on the Vegas top line right now. Barbashev, Eichel, Stone. You got Dorofeyev, Hurdle, Marner. So now you got basically with Stone back, that top 6 looks like it's the way it's going to stay pretty much the rest of the way. So keep that in mind. That's a good point by Aaron Barbashev. Close shave Barbashev. Point in 5 of the last 6 versus Buffalo. Jason Zucker is, obviously, look, a Vegas guy going back home. He's had success scoring against Aiden Hill. So, yeah, Jason Zucker makes a ton of sense as far as a goal prop here for Buffalo tonight. Those are my two favorite ones for Buffalo, Zucker and Benson. And Benson I like because of the position he's in the lineup, up on the top line here tonight for the Buffalo Sabres. Like I said, for Zucker, though, pretty good situation for him. All right, next up, we move along to Florida and Vancouver. We've got the Florida Panthers minus 140, minus 145 road favorites, 5.5, 6 the total. So again, depending on which book you're looking at with the total, so shop around. I don't think I want to fade Vancouver that badly with Florida to take Florida pregame minus 140. But Florida probably will play better. I mean, that was a rotten game. That was a stinker for them against Seattle the other night, getting bombed by the Kraken on Sunday night. We'll see if they can bounce back from that. I'm just going to go to the over here. Give me the over, 5.5. I think there's goals. I mean, I don't think Florida is dialed in defensively like we've seen in the past. Why would they be? They're not making the playoffs. I think it's more roll the puck out and go back and forth now for Paul Maurice's team. Bobrovsky will be in net, but as we know, he hasn't had a great season by his standards for the Panthers. Kevin Lankinen, you never know what you're going to get from him. Now, I will say he's had a couple of starts recently where he's been a little bit better, but the fact remains, last 10 appearances, 0-7-1. Last 8 appearances, 0-7-1 for Kevin Lankinen. So it's been a rough go. He's given up 34 goals, 211 shots, 3.65 goals against, 877 save percentage. Like I said, he's been a little bit better. I mean, he gave up 3 to Winnipeg, a respectable start. He only gave up 1 goal in a shutout loss to Ottawa, but he only gave up the 1 goal. The second Ottawa goal in that game was an empty net. So, yeah, he's been a little bit better, but he's still had an overall rough season. And the Vancouver team defensively, as we know, has had an overall rough season. So I'm just going to go over 5.5. I think Florida's going to get 3, 4, 5. And I think Vancouver will chip in and at least get on the board here at home in this one. So just Panthers, Canucks over 5.5 for me. Alex, what do you think here, Florida, Vancouver?
I still worry a little bit about Vancouver chipping in. So I went with Florida team total over 3.5 plus 108. Just feel a little bit more comfortable with Florida, like I said, having a better game after that Seattle beatdown, which I saw that coming.
Great call on Seattle. Yeah.
Whatever reason, Florida has issues in Seattle. Maybe it's the seafood. I don't know, but it's been issues there so far. Right. There's been issues there so far. But no, I can see where, like I say, obviously Vancouver, their season's toast. It would behoove them to just continue to lose and not do much of anything. And this is a Florida team, like I said, they still will play with pride after a bad loss. Should be able to get 4 goals here. Like I said, Lincoln has been awful. So give me Florida team total.
All right, Florida team total for Alex here. I'm going to go with Marco Rossi. I told you, Marco Rossi, if he finally scored a couple games ago, and wouldn't you know it, he also scored in the last game for Vancouver against Seattle. So all of a sudden, it's back-to-back goals for one of the big pieces going back the other way to Vancouver in the Quinn Hughes trade, Marco Rossi, who has now scored in back-to-back, and you're getting a pretty good price there, plus 420, plus 425. Keep in mind with Florida, Sam Bennett is a game-time decision, may not play. They're still going to be without Reinhart. They're still going to be without Marchand, of course. Uvis Balinskis on the blue line out. So still, very short-handed Florida team. But that's going to open up some value on that top line, especially if Bennett's a no-go. And Reinhart, of course, is still out. E2, Kuhlman, Luostarinen, Anton Lundell. There's still some pretty good value for their goal props tonight. Rodriguez centering the second line. Someone that might be worth a look here as well. So those are a couple of goal props for me on the Florida side that I'd be taking a shot with here. All right, last game for this Tuesday slate. Tampa Bay Lightning, Seattle Kraken. Tampa Bay minus 190 road favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Seattle. I don't want to say I'm changing my opinion on Seattle. You beat Vancouver and you beat Florida, 2 non-playoff teams. So we can't go crazy about the couple of victories over the weekend for the Kraken. But what I can be impressed with, this will be the true test, right? How do you fare against Tampa Bay? One of the better teams in the NHL. But what I am impressed with Seattle is that they've got a little pop offensively right now. They've got a little zip offensively right now. They look threatening again. They look like a team that's capable of scoring goals again. Before those 2 wins against Vancouver and Florida, this team had scored 2 goals or less In 5 of 7 games, they had scored 2 goals or less. Actually, 6 of 8 games, they had scored 2 goals or less. Then all of a sudden, going into the Vancouver game, they finally get the visa issues taken care of with our guy, our guy Bobby McMahon, who they got in the trade with Vancouver. And suddenly, with Bobby McMahon in the lineup, this Seattle Kraken team has scored 11 goals in the 2 games. Now, the caveat is it's Vancouver and Florida, and it was Tarasov in net for Florida as well. So, yeah, you pounded 2 non-playoff teams, and you got your offense going against those teams. Can you get it going here against Tampa Bay? I'm going to take a shot that they can get it going here, but I think Tampa Bay is going to score on Seattle. The one thing about the Kraken is, they've only given up 2 goals the last 2 games, but Florida and Vancouver not exactly going to be as threatening offensively as the Tampa Bay Lightning, who, by the way, are coming off a 4-2 loss against Carolina to end their homestand, looking to bounce back. It's that first game of a road trip spot. Tampa's 7-1 all time against Seattle since the Kraken entered the NHL as a franchise. So there's too many factors that point to this as a good plus spot for Tampa Bay to take the Kraken here, even though I'm kind of tempted. And Tampa Bay's form has been spotty lately, and Tampa Bay's dominance head-to-head against Seattle. But I will take this over. I think it can get over this total. I've all of a sudden, Alex, kind of got Seattle earmarked as maybe a team that's going to play a few more higher scoring games at least, because it's been noticeable how much of a difference McMahon has made for this team. All of a sudden, he gives them a guy that can finish chances, goes to the front of the net. He's already established chemistry. Blaine Lambert loves him so much already that he's playing with Matty Beniers and Jordan Eberle on the top line now. McCann, Stevenson, Gaudreau, Catton, Wright, Kakko, Winterton, Myers, Melanson rounding out the lineup. But he's made a difference for this Kraken team offensively. And this Lightning team defensively, there you go. Nick's hitting on what I was just about to say. Hedman has not looked right. He's playing, but he's not. You think this guy's playing like the Victor Hedman we know? Not right now. He's struggling in his own end. Chernak is still physical, but he's had some lapses. McDonough looks his age at times, and then the other guys, there's Dustu, who's still young. Moser, who's just a depth guy. Darren Radish has been moved down the lineup, and I'll say this about Darren Radish: he has not looked right since being moved down the lineup since Hedman came back. He was thriving with all this ice time, all this opportunity, playing all these minutes on the power play, and now he's had his ice time bumped back down again, and he's not playing as well with it. So there's some issues on that back end right now for Tampa Bay. And then you factor in Vasilevsky has come back down to earth a little bit post-Olympic break. So I'm going to take a shot here, over 6. Maybe even turn this into a bifecta and go with the first period over here as well. Alex, what do you think? Lightning, Kraken.
I like the over bifecta, but I like it live. I want to try and grab 5.5 and a little bit better of a price for that first period over. But what I like even more is a draw. Plus 345. That's the price I got at Bet Online. East versus West, both teams trying to get playoff positioning, but in different races. Seattle trying to get into the playoff race. Tampa Bay trying to kind of align themselves. Like you said, they've been kind of deflating, where Seattle's starting to kind of pick things up a little bit. So I think they kind of cross paths at the right time. This feels like a good draw season spot. Plus 345 is the best price available over at Bet Online.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. And actually, I look at it, the last 2 meetings in Seattle have had, 6 goals the last one. And then before that, there was a 4-3 Tampa win in overtime against Seattle in this building. So there you go. Significant if you agree with Alex on the draw here in this game between the Lightning and the Kraken. As far as goal props here tonight, we got, now finally, it's not going to be bargain bin tonight because he's not bargain bin worthy. The price has finally fallen below plus 300 on Bobby McMahon. So we won't be having him as a bargain bin special, but we're obviously still betting him to score. Plus 295 at Bet Rivers for Bobby McMahon. 2 straight games with a goal for him. Kakko, 2 goals in 2 of the last 5 games. There's a couple former player angles as well on the Tampa side. Yanni Gourde, he actually scored last game for the Lightning, Yanni Gourde, and a former member of the Seattle Kraken. And obviously the same thing for Oliver Bjorkstrand of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Also used to be with the Seattle Kraken. So the former player angle, I'll buy into that and take a small shot with both of them. Gonsalves as well, still on the second line for Tampa Bay. I'll get involved there as far as a goal prop as well. So some decent goal prop options there. But again, Bobby McMann's my favorite. Not bargain bin price worthy, though, unfortunately. But still, plus 295, given the way he's played in 2 games with the Seattle Kraken, 3 goals and 5 points. Still pretty good price for someone that's been feeling it now with his new team. All right, shout out to everyone in the chat at the like button. We appreciate it. 400 live viewers, man. We appreciate it very much. Hope you're enjoying it. Cheers to everyone on this St. Patrick's Day.
Launcher.
There we go. I hope you're enjoying it. All right. WizardSportsPicks.com. Make sure you check it out. March Madness is here. Daily premium picks, long-term subscriptions, 3-day, 7-day, 30-day, 1-year all sports passes available. Number one for me on the website in both college basketball and NHL. So make sure you check it out. WizardSportsPicks.com. And of course, Patreon.com/IceGuys. $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. We're going to have tons of betcasts, April and beyond. And also the $50 off 1 month all sports subscription at Dub Club with me is still there for the Patreon members. Patreon Ice Guys members only for the $50 off discount to the Dub Club for those of you that want March Madness and NCAA tournament and NBA picks and UFL picks when it starts next week and MLB when it starts next week. So make sure you take advantage of that. I'm only offering Dub Club at $50 off for 1 month to Patreon Ice Guys members. You're the only people that have access to that discount. So make sure you take advantage of it. $10 per month. Your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. $10 per month. Patreon.com/IceGuys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got hoodies, we've got caps, we've got t-shirts, we've got mugs, we've got all kind of great items with our wonderful logos. So check it out right now. That's the Ice Guys store at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
All right, bargain bin special of the night. I want to mention one that Aaron threw into the chat. I didn't mention him, but the more I was thinking about it when he posted it. Evan Bouchard, anytime goal for Edmonton, plus 330. Now that Draisaitl's out, watch him shoot the puck more, especially on the power play. I could see that. I could see him taking the onus on him that I'm going to shoot the puck more and I'm going to drive the offense more now that we're missing the big German, Leon Draisaitl, and not having him in the lineup. So from that standpoint, just theoretically, I could see Evan Bouchard kind of thinking that. Like, I'm going to try to shoot more. I've got this ripper of a shot, the Bouch bomb, as they call it. So I could see him having a real chance to score more goals here in this portion of the season that they'll be moving forward, Edmonton, without Leon Draisaitl in the lineup. But bargain bin special of the night. We got a huge card to choose from. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special of the night.
All right, got 2 of them. First one, we go to the west side of Chicago, 1901 West Madison. You got the Minnesota Wild skating into town against the Blackhawks. And like you mentioned, it feels like it's a Frankie night. Going with Frank Nazar, anytime goal scorer, plus 320 was the price that I got over at FanDuel. That'd be my first bargain bin special. My second bargain bin special comes from that mentioned game with Edmonton and San Jose. You got no Leon Draisaitl. So I'm calling out the captain, Connor McDavid, to get 2 goals at plus 500. The best price that I found there with FanDuel. I think he's got to step it up. Everybody's going to have to step it up, but obviously he's the leader. He's that heart and soul of the team. I think he's going to come through with a pair tonight against San Jose. So Connor McDavid, 2 goals plus 500. That's my second bargain special tonight.
All right, there we go. Frank Nazar, Connor McDavid for the bargain bin specials on this Tuesday for Alex. My bargain bin special of the night, I got 2 of them as well. First one I already mentioned, the first game we talked about. Matthew Schaefer with upwards of 1,000, according to him, upwards of 1,000 family, friends, and relatives attending this Islanders-Leafs game tonight. I wouldn't be shocked if Matthew Schaefer puts on a show or tries to in front of the family and friends in attendance. So Matthew Schaefer, New York Islanders, plus 400 for my first of 2 bargain bin specials of the night. The second one is going to be another guy going back to his hometown to play, Jason Zucker, for the Buffalo Sabres, plus 300, right on the button at DraftKings, plus 300 with Jason Zucker. That's bargain bin worthy now that we see that price available. So Jason Zucker for Buffalo, plus 300 to go with Matthew Schaefer for the New York Islanders, plus 400 for my bargain bin specials of the night for this Tuesday. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Original 6 matchup, St. Patrick's Day, 2 teams battling for playoff positioning. Give me Bruins, Habs, both teams to score in the first period. I think we're going to see some fireworks in the first 20 minutes, and I think both teams will at least get a goal. So Boston, Montreal, both teams to score in the first period. That's my best bet.
There you go. Boston, Montreal with the for Alex B. Smith as far as best bet is concerned. My best bet here for this Tuesday, look, it's been a cold run. I mean, nothing else to say, but it's just been a factor. We've had good days where I've had a losing best bet overall with my personal betting. It's just we've picked the wrong game. Hopefully that's not the case tonight. I will go to that Winnipeg Jets money line, minus 125. I'm really starting to like what I'm seeing. Those were 2 really good wins. I was impressed with the St. Louis win. A game where you beat Colorado, you didn't have a letdown. You got the job done. I think Nashville's starting to fade the more I watch them, and I like what I'm seeing from the Jets. They sense it that they could still maybe sneak in. They've got a lot of work to do, but it starts with beating a slumping Nashville team. They've owned Nashville, especially here at Canada Life. So we'll go with Winnipeg, minus 125 against Nashville for my best bet here for this Tuesday night. All right, shout out to everyone. Thanks for joining us. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And like I said, looking forward to the rest of the week and beyond. Of course, countdown's on. We're like a month away from until the Stanley Cup playoffs. So it's going to be right here before you know it. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. Sláinte, happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. And we will see you again on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.